Dear friends, welcome to the Mindful Maya podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to understanding the phenomenon of the mind and be free from its conditions. The series features various talk shows given by the mystic Maya around the world in what he calls the conversation from the silence to the silence.
The idea of Maya is not illusion. Illusion is an entirely different thing. When we think of illusion, it is something that may be false or some trickery. But Maya is not trickery. We can take Maya from two different angles regarding death. That everyone has to die. One way or another, there is no way we have to die. Everyone will go away sooner or later. Or the same is true that no one has ever died and no one will ever die. We can simply take the whole process of death as passage, or culturally we have different types of rites of passages throughout life, and similarly death is another rite of passage that the existence does for us. In a way, death is true and death is false. Simply depends on from which point we are looking at it. And similarly in life, since everything goes away, yet you are same, you will continue. So from the angle of the death, that everything goes away and you will continue, everything looks to be temporary and everything looks to be an illusion. Hence, the word illusion is close, very close, but not totally. Everything is there in life. Everything that there is in life is true, is a factual truth that things are there in life. And similarly, at the same time, everything that there is in life is factually not true as well. And this is Maya. How can we experience Maya? How can we learn or know Maya? Is only by meditation. Because even if we think about Maya from a factual and non-factual point of views, it does not come to an experience. So when we meditate, we sit, we watch, and slowly we can see that everything is a thought and they go away. Some thoughts take a hold of body very strongly, so much so that we start to feel it in the body. We start to feel that it is real. Just the thought of thinking about lemon and our taste buds produce saliva. Just the thought of sex and the body becomes ready, becomes aroused. But it is a thought as well. Because with this experiment, you can see that you think about a lemon and there is saliva in the mouth. Then you let go of the thought and soon the thought is far away. It is similar to the thought of sex and it is far away. When there is thought, the body responds, and when the thought is gone, the body stops responding. And similarly, when we meditate and all the thoughts become distant, and the sense of body becomes distant as well. And you can feel it in the body itself. Something happens, a jerk or a sensation of electricity throughout the body, or tingling sensation throughout the body, and we come back to this reality, to our identities, to where we are. And if we keep on continuing to be there and watch, soon all the thoughts starts vanishing away, going away, but you still will be there. You may not even remember the place you were sitting to meditate. You may not remember your characters, stories. You may not remember your dreams, what you wanted to be, what has happened in your life. You may forget everything, but you will still be there. And when you come out of the meditation, all of your thoughts, identity, character will start coming back. And when they are back, they feel as real and as alive, objective reality. But you were still there when those thoughts and the objective reality was not in your experience. This experience of seeing that things are there in the mind, in the thought, and the objective reality is the thought that is so true, so alive and present around you and in you. And both of these states are true. The state where there are no thoughts, yet you are. You won't even remember you are breathing. You won't even remember you have a body. And you remember that you have a body, and you remember that you are dreaming, and you remember there are many thoughts. Both of these states are true. And all the time there are thoughts moving in the mind. All the time that there are characters and stories that you are playing, or you had played, or you will play. Of all this time, there is always this inner reality which is all beyond all these stories. Both of these states are existing simultaneously, but your flow of consciousness, what you are conscious about, makes a difference. And the more you start exploring inside, and the more you go beyond your own stories, the more you find internal relaxation, and the more you find who you are in both non-thought state and in the thought state. This is Maya. Ignorance is considered the greatest sin of the human existence in Tantra. But what is ignorance? It is very necessary, it is essential to understand what ignorance is. It is the not understanding of our own individual being in its totality. We see the world through our eyes, we smell it through the nose, we hear through our ears, we taste through the tongue, and we feel with the touch. And all of these senses, what they are doing is they are taking the impulses of the existence to us, something that is residing inside. And all of these senses are focused on the exterior world. And we know the exterior world through these senses. We make the sense of the exterior world through these 5 different organs. And our focus is taken outside through these senses. But there is a lot of things happening inside. Emotions, for example, change according to the change of things outside of our physical body. They are triggered by the different stories happening outside. And there is an entire world inside that we somehow ignore to see, to experience. And even if we understand the exterior world, which by and large happens by the categorization of the world, of the universe, which is essential to understand our surroundings, which has helped us take a scientific leap to understand our existence. But there is another extension of the exterior world inside. As far as the exterior world extends into the infinity, there is an equal part in the interior world that also extends into the infinity. As much there is the exterior sky, there is interior sky as well, equally vast, equally distant, that extends forever and ever. And for the mind, since it is tuned with the 5 sense organs, we find ourselves in a position to see the exterior world, and it helps us to live our life, to move around, to be present with different people, to understand our relationship with the world and its beings. And the only way that exists for us to understand the internal world is meditation. So we can say that ignorance is not understanding the interior world, or ignorance is not finding who we are, both outside and inside. We know what we are outside. We know what the exterior world does to us. And even if we don't know what the exterior world does to us, we can know a large part of it, because a lot of it has been studied in psychology that studies what effect does the exterior world do to us, to our human mind. And it also studies the patterns of our emotional and mental phenomena. And yet, it fails to understand the vastness of the interior world. This is ignorance. And all the darkness or shadows told by philosophies, psychologies, this darkness is also a form of ignorance, of not understanding our inner self, inner existence. The moment we start to meditate, we start to find the internal processes, and in Tantra, even the emotional states triggered by the stories happening outside of us, that also is considered external, since the emotions are triggered by these external stories or whatever is happening outside, be it the situations that happens with other people in relationship to us, be it the different activities we do, like swimming, hiking, partying, seeing a sunset or a sunrise, seeing auroras, everything that triggers and changes our internal state of feeling is still exterior. We start to understand this exterior form of our own being in meditations. And this happens largely because we sit and watch. And when we sit and watch, we start to see first what is happening in the surface, on the surface of our mind. But if we don't do anything and just keep on watching without saying that this is good or this is bad, without adding any more thoughts by our own will, or let's say without adding any more oil to the fire, we enter into a very loose or lucid state of the mind, where the mind is doing its thing and we find ourselves just there watching it. And when we keep on watching, soon we find there is a gap between what is happening in the mind and who we are. This very gap goes on increasing more and more to the point we find ourselves in a distance with all the mental processes. We find ourselves in a distance with this very moment, this space, this room, the sounds coming from outside or inside of this room, and even the thoughts, dreams, everything that we know, that we are, that has happened to us or yet to happen, our ambitions, things we need to do tomorrow, things we did yesterday, the past, the present, the future, everything happens in a distance, and yet we find ourselves existing, witnessing, simply present. And this state we can also call here and now, or let's say the presence is felt, the here and now is felt. And as we continue sitting and watching, or as we continue meditating, soon all these stories go away. Even the thought, this is the present moment, goes away. What remains is the pure silence, the pure eternal silence, beyond all the stories. At that moment we can understand that even the internal phenomenon of the mind, the body, the spirit, everything is a story. But this understanding itself does not happen in that state, since it takes mind to understand. And in that state there is no mind. Then we come out slowly, we start remembering who we are, our names, our stories, our past, our present, our future. We start remembering, then we can take, or let's say, use the mind to remember what had happened while we were not there, while the I was gone. The more we go inwards to that state and understand what is happening in that state beyond the stories, the more we do that, the more we understand our internal being. And the more we understand our internal being, or the more we stay in that silence, the more our stories outside in the exterior world starts to resolve itself. All our karmic connections start to balance itself. The life itself starts becoming more and more easier, full of gratitude, full of compassion and joy, and peaceful in general. The deep acceptance of our stories without any effort start to form in our life. And this is important. It happens without any effort. Of course, we can put an effort to be kind and compassionate. And if we use effort, we feel tired very soon. And we all have felt that when we put an effort to something and it does not work according to our wish, we feel tired, defeated, and we feel surges of disappointment, anger, fear in our lives. That's why finding an effortless way is very important if we want the compassion to arrive by its own, the love to arrive by its own. And Tantra considers the ignorance of not understanding ourselves as sin, because that is where we have to put effort. And when the effort goes in vain, when all our effort becomes a burden to us, then we suffer. The suffering is not because of the sin, but is because of not understanding the sin itself, or not understanding our own self in the first place. And it is also true that when we understand our internal world, we understand our mind, how it works, the very essential phenomenon, or the very essential workings of the human mind. And as we go on understanding our own internal processes, we also become aware of the internal processes of our friends, families, and the entire human mind, the mind of each and every human being around the world. That is what makes us more and more humble. And And that is where the effortless existence starts to arise. And it can all happen simply by sitting and watching. Of course, we can live our entire life without understanding this internal state, and it's okay. But we are also free to see what is happening inside and understand who we are, and that will bring this effortless internal silence, peace, serenity and gratitude of life. And therefore Tantra says that there are ways that we can understand our internal beings, and it's okay if you want to go in and watch, and it is equally okay if you don't do that, because the life will still continue. The stories will still have to be lived. Maybe the stories change. Maybe the story change from I am suffering to there is suffering. I am suffering and it is not good, it is terrible. To there is suffering in life. I am learning and it is okay. This humbleness is what brings quality to life. Watching our internal existence is what brings more and more peace and in general flowering in life. And once you find the key to your own internal being, you find a way to cut off the ignorance, because now the doors to both internal and external way of understanding the reality opens for us. Then we find ourselves at the center of the exterior and the interior world. And the center is the present moment. From here and now, we can enter to the interior world and go as deep as we want. Or we can watch and move around the exterior world as far and as deep as we want. But in both cases, we find that we are always here and now, which makes us as individual beings at the center of this stretching of consciousness. Both interior expansion and exterior expansion are the expansion of consciousness, and we are at the center, to the point where when we move, things change around us, both internally and externally. One way of seeing it is when we travel or when we go to our homes later or go to office, when we move and go anywhere, you can experience this, that you are always in the center. You are always present here and now. What changes is the surrounding. Even if we decide to stand up, go out, take a tram, bus, or walk, we are always at the center. We're always here and now. And the things are moving around us. And at the moment we are here, we see this room, and later we find ourselves in our homes, in another room, or outside, anywhere. The surroundings have changed. The reality has changed. It has morphed itself into something new. We are always, as an individual, at the center, unmoving. When we understand ourselves, life happens. And when we don't understand ourselves, life still will happen. The only difference is we know who we are, both internally and externally, or we think we know who we are externally, and the whole interior being goes ignored. The latter is the ignorance, but this is very innocent ignorance. There are many things that may have caused this ignorance. A growing up in a society or in a cultural form, we were not told or not shared how to watch inside and find who we are, or simply there was no will to watch inside. For some people, this happens naturally, that they start to watch inside. For some people, it requires circumstances in the exterior life, exterior world, that triggers them to watch inside. And for some people, it is the Sangha, as Buddha says, a group where we can feel that all of us know nothing, and all our states of being, or every emotions that we have, everything that is happening to us at this very moment is totally accepted by the group. In other words, either everyone is special or no one is special. Both of the states are equally accepted by everyone. We can also say that Satsang or Sangha is a time and space where we can all be psychologically naked, completely empty, without having the thoughts of being judged or judging anyone. Because we are all here in this Satsang, in the Sangha, to know our own individual being. That is the intention of Sangha. There it can happen. Here it can happen that we start to eliminate our personal, deeper ignorances. And that happens with meditation.
Dear friends, we want to publish these life-changing conversations as a book, and for that we need your help. Please leave your thoughts on our Facebook page, Maya Satsang, and also share this podcast with your friends. Every thought is valuable and every share counts.